Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. Happy Friday. I hope you guys have all had a great day and are looking forward to the weekend. And as always, there is loads going on in the world of Newcastle United right now. We've spent quite a lot of time over the last few months talking about players that we're interested in, players that we would like to buy. It's kind of gone over my head that other teams could well be interested in buying our players. And in the last 24 hours, huge links coming out that Real Madrid want Bruno Guimarães. With Casemiro understood to now be joining Manchester United, Real Madrid have placed Bruno at the top of their hit list. Loads of links coming out from mainly Spain, some from Brazil as well. The club have responded. Eddie Howe responded in his press conference this morning, and we will talk a little bit about that in today's video. In terms of players that we are interested in, João Pedro, the Watford Brazilian striker. We're going to be full of Brazilian players. I'd love to see it. We'll have to see how we get on. We haven't signed him yet, and who knows what will happen next. But he is Brazilian, he is a striker. It's understood Newcastle placed a first bid that was rejected, a second bid that was rejected around, I think it was like 25 million-ish. Watford want 30 million-ish. It's understood Newcastle are preparing a third bid for around 27-28 million, and it's thought that will be the compromise from both sides, and we could well see an accepted bid potentially later on today. So I'm not going to jinx it just yet, but I'd love to be back on later today or maybe tomorrow and have some great news on that one. So we'll talk about João Pedro first. As I've mentioned previously, the response to João Pedro as a potential transfer has been slightly underwhelming from the Newcastle fans, and I think a lot of that is to do with his goal and assist per game ratios aren't the best. But let's not forget, he's only 20 years old, he's come over from Brazil, he's played in a Watford side that got relegated. He's always going to struggle to score goals in a team that isn't very good, but, and I've mentioned this before, so I'm not going to go into it too much, but Eddie Howe wants to bring in players that he knows will fit the side, will do the work, and João Pedro's underlying statistics on pressing on the ball, defensive work rate, link-up play, and generally just being a bit of a grafter. To be honest, I think that's what Eddie Howe wants. He wants someone who's gonna run for him. And João Pedro looks like the kind of player who will do that. And I actually saw a video, I think it was The Athletic. I've not actually watched the video. I should have watched the video. I will watch the video. But I just saw the thumbnail or the title, and I think the video was called, basically, the No Prats transfer policy. Which I think is exactly right. I think Eddie Howe is just being very clever with what he has to do. He's trying to only bring in the right players. And yes, that means things take that little bit longer than maybe we would like. But, you know, he hasn't turned us wrong so far. You know, I think all of the signings have made an impact. And I've got no doubt that whoever we'll bring in next will as well. And I fully expect us to bring in more players. As I say, the João Pedro one looks to be nearing completion, so I won't go on too long in case I jinx it. But as I say, I'm really hoping we can get that over the line and then potentially then have a little bit of a look at the wingers and the centre mids as well. But as I say, I think he's a player that will definitely add. He's very young, 20 years old, and he has Premier League experience. You know, to bring in a player who has that. And as I say, yes, the numbers at the moment aren't the best, but there's something there to work with. And we know Eddie Howe can change players. We've seen it with a number of players in our squad already. I think it's very highly likely that he's looking for a player with a higher ceiling. I've seen a couple of Watford fans talking about how they would be very upset to lose João Pedro. People asking the question, João Pedro versus Sarr, and a lot of them are saying João Pedro is the better player, or not the better player yet, but has the higher ceiling. Sarr has injury troubles and all sorts, whereas I think Pedro, they can see the effort this young lad's putting in and where he could be. And that's the thing. We're buying a young lad. Yes, he hasn't got the greatest goals and assists yet. Give him 3, 4, 5 years under Eddie Howe, playing alongside Callum Wilson, learning with Bruno and Joe Linton, Brazilian counterparts. Yeah. So I'm hoping we're going to hear a lot more on that soon. And the third bid, as I say, sounds like will be going in and will hopefully just tempt Watford down that couple of million less. And we can get that done and dusted. Now then, as for Bruno, being linked away to Real Madrid, the £100 million player. The reason I'm calling him that is it's understood Newcastle would not let him go for anything less than double what we paid, which I think worked out at around 52 million euros. So really, 100 million would be double. To be honest, if you think that Morgan White-Gibbs went to Nottingham Forest for 45 million. I think Bruno must be worth 4 times him. I think he's the £200 million player, never mind the 100 million. Eddie Howe spoke about this in the press conference this morning, so I will get onto that in a minute. But generally, the reports coming out, as I say, mostly from Spain, a few from Brazil, a few in England as well. And it's all based around the fact that Casemiro has, I believe, decided now to go to Real Madrid. And Bruno was the player they had their eyes on as a potential replacement. Now, let me give you the good news. It's not happening. It was never happening. Don't get me wrong. It's Real Madrid. And I'm sure if Bruno heard that a club like that would be interested, it's always gonna pick up in your ears. You're gonna listen to what's going on. But realistically, he's only been here 5 minutes. And I just can't see us selling him. If you think, previous ownership, he would have been gone before I had a chance to make this video. To be honest, I don't think I would have had the chance to even talk to you guys about it. I think he would have already been on his way. But with what we're doing now, the project we've set up, what we're trying to achieve, we don't need to just let players go like that. And Bruno has been such a huge part of what we've been able to turn around in this side. A real key player. And as I say, I'm not surprised teams are interested in him. As I say, it was totally over my head that other teams could come knocking for any of our players. And it truly does not surprise me that somebody is interested in Bruno. But as I say, it's not going to happen. We don't have to let players go, and we want to try and achieve this season. And selling our star player is not a great start to doing that. And I think it's something we're going to have to get used to. As we start to attract, more players, higher valued players, just generally better players, we're seeing it in terms of what we are trying to do this transfer window. In the last, however long, we're going out to France, we're going to different countries, we're shopping in the bargain bins in a way, and got lucky on a number of occasions with players like Cabai. Tiote was fantastic. Players that we brought in for not a lot of money, but worked out really well. We've kind of stepped away from that now. We're going out there and we are looking at players that, we believe are, who will be good, not hope they'll be good. And because of that, when they do come in and they do improve, they're gonna attract attention. And there's no surprise that Bruno has attracted that attention. Following the links that came out from Real Madrid to Bruno, there was then reports going the other way that Newcastle had said, hands off, we're not interested in selling the player. If we were going to sell the player, it would have to be double what we paid for him. And then, as I say, Eddie Howe spoke about it this morning, where he basically spoke on the fact that, Bruno wants to be part of the project. He has no intention of letting him go. Bruno did not ask for any clauses in his contract. He signed, when we were looking like we were going to get relegated. He could have probably quite easily have said, if we go down, I want a release clause. But I believe, the owners and the project, got him on board without having to need that. So he wants to be part of it. And speaking of Bruno, I don't know Bruno personally, but he always said that the Premier League was a dream for him. He's just got settled into his new house. He's only been here 6 months. He's just getting settled with his family, with his dogs. To upheaval all of that with 5 minutes left in a window would not be the ideal time to move. And as I say, I don't think Real Madrid would have put up the amount of money Newcastle would have asked for. And as it happens, Ancelotti has actually come out himself and said that although Casemiro is going, he doesn't now believe they will actually look to replace him. They will just continue as they are. Would he have said that had Newcastle have turned around and said, okay, we'll sell him? Probably not. So I think it's a little bit of both. Obviously, he doesn't want to come out in an interview and go, well, we would have bought him, but Newcastle said no. So actually, he's going to come out and go, no, we weren't going to buy him anyway. So yeah, you can maybe take a little guess on what's actually happened there. But it's an interesting one, though, because as I mentioned, I think I've just been sleeping on the fact that people are coming for our players as well. And it's something certainly to think about, because as much as Bruno does want the project, he wants to be in the Premier League, he's clearly loving it in Newcastle at the moment, which is absolutely fantastic. And I love to see, him and, as I say, Joe Linton, the two Brazilians, together on the pitch, off the pitch, clearly have become good friends. It's still Real Madrid. It's still Real Madrid. Newcastle aren't there yet. Who knows, maybe in the future we could be, but we're not. Real Madrid are one of the biggest teams in the world, and for any player, and I think for a South American player as well, a Brazilian player, with what they've had, with Ronaldo and all that kind of thing over in the Spanish leagues, it's something, old Ronaldo, not Cristiano Ronaldo. It's something that I think they will look at, and come next summer, or even a summer after that, Newcastle are going to have to, if we're bringing in these big players, I talk about the fact that I would like to see us go through the motions. Let's try and get top 10. Let's try and get the Europa Conference. Let's try and get Europa League. Let's try and get Champions League. Where can we push after that? And that's my 5 to 6 year program. It's not next season we need Europa. The year after that we need Champions League. Obviously it would be great, but as I say, I've sat and watched us play useless football for that long. I don't mind if it takes a couple of extra years, because I know we're going to get there. We're going in the right direction. For someone like Bruno, I can watch football till I'm 80. I can sit in St James's Park for the next 50, 60 years if I want to. Bruno's career is likely only going to last another 10 max, or around that. He's not going to sit around and wait for that slow progression. So in a way, as we continue to pull these players in, Newcastle is going to have to really try and push maybe quicker than what some think, to try and hold on to some of these players as well. And it really has opened my eyes a little bit to the fact that potentially next summer, if we have another good season, people could come knocking. So it's definitely something to bear in mind. Let me know your thoughts on that. Let me know your thoughts on João Pedro, who I mentioned earlier on. We'll have to see about that. There is also news coming out that Christian Pulisic has actually said that Newcastle would be his preferred move. Linked with loan deals. I mean, the whole Chelsea team's linked with a loan deal right now, aren't they? Apparently Pulisic is reportedly saying that Newcastle would be the place he would like to go. So let me know your thoughts on that. Is he the Chelsea player you would like to see join Newcastle? As I mentioned, let me know your thoughts on the João Pedro. And then, as I say, Bruno's going nowhere. Happy days. But it's certainly one to keep our eyes on, I think. And as I say, look after these guys. Sven Botman recently come in, young guy, wants to achieve big. Newcastle has to provide for him as much as anything else. We need to keep that promise, and we need to try and push forward and see where we can get to. But thanks for watching, guys. As always, drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're still watching now and you haven't hit that big red button, please do. Daily content on the channel. I'm actually thinking over the next week it could become 2 videos a day, to be honest, because I think there's going to be a big race to the finish this summer window. I think there's going to be a lot of videos coming out, so subscribe. Do not miss them. Get those notifications on, so when I do upload, I do always try and upload around the same time, 4 or 5 o'clock, but as I say, I think I could be uploading more in an afternoon for the next week because I think there's going to be so much going on. So drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know your thoughts on Bruno, João Pedro, Pulisic, transfers down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later.